Okay. So we should be live just on YouTube. Do you see us?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm doing this really, I want to make a clip or clips out of this to put something together more concisely to kind of go over some of the stuff in the indictment with candidates. Because it's really confusing, and I tried to do this during a candidate panel on Thursday, and it's just like I said before we just went live, just running everything and talking and trying to steer the conversation was just really, really tricky until I get the hang of this. So because I've been behind the camera for a very long time. So okay, so I'm gonna pull up. You're going to see me doing this a lot. This is probably one of the problems, I think, is it might be too small to see very well. Let's see. So this is, okay. So this was the first one from the first indictment from 2018. Is this too small for you guys to even see?
I can see it.
You can see it. Okay. Okay, actually, why don't you guys, while I'm pulling this other thing up, just introduce yourselves. These are my people that know IT security better than I do. So I am very interested in the subject, but I always have to ask lots of questions. So why don't you guys say something while I'm finding this?
My name is Brian. I work in IT for a rather large bank. I've done that worked in IT now for going on about 15 years. Cybersecurity is really more of a hobby, but I have studied it now for the last roughly 4.5, 5 years. So that's my background.
Yeah. My name's John. I work for Oracle's GDI. It's a government defense intelligence. I've been involved in security applications and security for 30 plus years. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you, John. Okay. Oh, this is tricky. All right, let me see if this is the one. All right. I think I've got the wrong page up here. Okay. Yeah. All right. So I was looking up all the lawyers on the indictment as well. Hold on. Goodness, this is what's tricky about. Okay, here it is. Share this tab instead. This is why I need to do this, because I'm just out of practice and it's hard to do. All right, can you guys see this now? Am I on? You see count 16? Do you see this page? Or is it not? No, it's not. Hold on. There it is. Okay. Sorry, it's a two-step process here to get this thing up. Okay, that really might. Is it too small to see? Let's see. Let's get to the top. Okay, so I'm not an expert on this case. I mean, I've been following it a long time. But the biggest thing I heard when I was reaching out to candidates, and they were all great. We've had 3 panels. But the biggest thing I heard was, I'm not an expert on the case. I don't think I really have anything to add to it. And every single one of them had something important to add. But to try to, grasp everything that's happened, it's really complicated. So there was the first indictment in 2018, and then this is the superseding indictment. Lots of legal jargon. Okay, so this is June 24th, 2020. And here we have all the different counts of 17 or 18? 17. No, 18. And interestingly, we always hear this Assange is a hacker, right? And it's interesting that that part of the indictment, the hacking charges, it's only a 5-year sentence anyway. And we're going to get into that, like that there's really not any evidence of it, of that happening with Manning. But it's just interesting because most of this indictment is not even about the hacking. It's pretty much, I mean, again, lots of legal jargon here, but it's pretty much just about Assange soliciting, like WikiLeaks encouraging people to leak stuff to them, which the more I read this, it's preposterous that's, how do you criminalize that? Like we hear this all the time. Journalists are always soliciting information from their sources. So, when you hear people say this case is criminalizing journalism, I mean, that's what they mean. But because people talk about call him a hacker, and because that is really kind of what the narrative is, and most people think, oh, wait, he hacked the DNC in 2016. And of course, we know there's no evidence of that, but also that's why Democrats don't like Assange, right? So I've had a really hard time recruiting Democrats. We've had a few really good ones, but anyway, so I wanted to just dig into this hacking stuff, because when that's the narrative, it's really hard to break that spell of people believing that, right? So actually, let me pull this up really quickly. I need to share. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you doing this with me. This is why I have to edit this later. Okay, here we go. We're going to share this tab instead. Tell me if it switches. Did it switch?
It did.
Okay, so now you see Paula's thing, her little video.
Yes.
Okay, so this is Paula Iacella. She, I believe, lives in New Hampshire, and she's with Assange Defense in Boston. And I think she's a graphic artist, and she compiled this whole thing here. And actually, let me pull it up. So I wanted to share that, and I did share it on the panel on Thursday. But as I said, it was just really kind of hard to do both at the same time. So, okay, let me pull that out. And all right. Okay. Do you guys remember me on Zoom trying to do all these awkward screen shares, So this is better, but I just have to get the hang of it. Okay. Damn. Wait a second. Here it is. Okay. Share. No. Okay. Hold on. I need to just switch to a different tab. That's all. Okay. Stop sharing. And okay. Now I got it. Okay, it is, there it is, I think. Yes, okay. Voila. So if you can imagine, I had a panel of candidates, and I'm trying to kind of, Matt's helping interview and everything and steer it, but I'm trying to like pull this stuff up and maintain my train of thought, and it was a little tricky. Okay, so here we go. Now this is good. Now I can pull this over here and pull it down. Okay, and this is what I did show, but I made this point that when I'm talking to candidates, when you start saying anything about hacking or IT security related things, people's eyes glaze over. And I don't mean that, I mean, you're grinning, John, but I don't mean that like to say other people aren't capable of understanding it. It's just I don't think most people do. We don't have, for the longest time, I have wanted to cover this as a journalist and kind of, be a translator from IT security experts into translating it into for regular people, because I think it's really important that we do learn to understand it. Because I don't know if you'll like this, John, but it's my opinion that, I mean, I don't really just trust our intelligence agencies. I don't trust anything just as fact without some evidence. But when you can't understand the evidence that you're shown, it doesn't really help. So you're left like being at the mercy of, oh, that was Mitch. His internet just cut off. You're at the mercy of someone else telling you, like, yes, this is accurate. Yes, this is true. And I think that's not a great place to be. So anyway, so I showed this, and basically, okay, the main takeaways from this are that Assange was not identified as the person Manning was talking to. Manning already had access to all the files she leaked. There is no evidence the password hash Manning asked for help with was cracked. Cracking the password was not technically possible, and we'll get into that. This is the most important point, and it was conceded by the prosecution. The password could not confer anonymity, and it is likely the password was for uploading software for entertainment. I mean, when you look at the whole timeline and that all of the stuff she revealed or released to WikiLeaks happened before this so-called agreement to help break a password, that makes sense. But I think the biggest question for me going over this is how are they even naming Assange in the indictment when this chat log names somebody named Nathaniel Frank? Have you seen this part, John? Right, you're muted. You want to unmute? Oh, wait, hang on. You're muted. Wait a minute. What's going on there? Oh, there you go. Unmute. You muted yourself.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so you were talking about the Jabber log, the
Right.
Jabber
Okay.
chat. Yeah, I mean, they're making a request and he's sending information, but that information alone isn't enough to hash crack the FTP password.
Right. Okay. So, but even my biggest question here, and I couldn't find it anywhere in everything I've read, is that how are they even naming Assange in the indictment as being part of this when he's not clearly definitively identified here as Nathaniel Frank? I mean, I understand that they're naming WikiLeaks for releasing the information, but I mean, as far as this conspiracy to hack, well, on what grounds are they even getting that if they can't prove that Nathaniel Frank is Assange?
Correct.
And that's what really just kind of blew me away. I was like, well, wait a second, where? So then I'm wondering where's Jabber? Like, is it on a server somewhere? Can they go and look and see and try to figure out who that was? And Brian, you looked into, so it's got email addresses here. I wish I could zoom in on it. Hold on.
Right. So I use Jabber in my work, and the accounts are based on an email address. So, and you can see the email addresses here in the chat logs. Now, if you trace that email address that they're using, interestingly enough, it traces back to Chaos Computer Club, which is a hacking site in Germany. So it appears that you can just anonymously set up an email address through this hacking site. So trying to attribute who exactly, hold on a second, who exactly the person is, press association at jabber.ccc.de. There's virtually no way to do that.
Okay. So that computer, what was it called again? The group?
Chaos Computer Club.
Yeah, they mention that in the indictment because they say something about, in the way that they were soliciting, trying to get people to leak stuff to them. That I don't see how that's a crime at all.
No, that's a typical journalistic action to solicit for documents, whether they were obtained legally or illegally. That's for a
Mhm.
journalist to publish documents that were obtained illegally, as long as it's in the public interest. I believe. I think that's the verbiage of the law. Is that's perfectly legal.
Okay. You know what? I'm having second thought. Maybe I will. Let me see if I can add this on my Twitter. Should I add it on my Twitter?
It's up to you.
I know. I'm debating. Um.
I think down here, and I agree with you, but down here on page 12 of this report you sent me out, I
Mhm.
think the link was by IP address. I think they were specific to say they're not tracking by a user, but by IP.
Right. But again, if they're using a VPN, which most likely they were, the IP address wouldn't be trackable anyway.
Correct.
Okay.
Except at the endpoints. But yeah, you're right.
Right. Right.
Okay. So again, the indictment, which is mostly all about criminalizing journalism and soliciting people to send WikiLeaks things that are classified and all of that. I don't see how that's even criminal at all. But again, because the whole narrative is that he's a hacker, I felt like it was just important to dig into this further. And actually, you can, like I showed on the panel the other day, you can go here and click on this document. And I just added this to Twitter. Sorry. So if it's just showing up now, this is part of Paula Iacella's from Assange Defense Boston. Her evidence files. It's go to her Twitter. It's at hold on. Make sure I get that right. All right. Paula's. There it is. Okay. So Paula's email address is at PLUCILLE54. And like I said, she's got this, I think it's 100 pages, and it's everything about the Assange case. And it's really good, very comprehensive. But we're focusing in on the hacking stuff, and specifically right now these chat logs that were supposedly between Manning and Assange. But as you see here, the only evidence that the U.S. had about alleged conspiracy was Chelsea Manning's chat log, in which she asked a person named Nathaniel Frank to help her crack a password hash. Nathaniel Frank said in the chat that he would look into it, and ultimately Frank wasn't able to do anything. Chelsea has been identified as nobody on this chat log, and Nathaniel Frank has never been identified. So, I just want to say again that the all the leaks that Manning gave to WikiLeaks, or everything except for, I think, what is it, some State Department cables, all happened before this date, which is, I think, March 8th of 2010. Okay, so let's get into this though. So this is a Jabber chat log. And Brian, maybe you can repeat that. Sorry, because I just added it to Twitter. So you were saying that there's to join in on this Jabber chat log, you had to use an email address.
Right. Jabber establishes the account via an email address. But as John was saying, what they were actually tracking were IP addresses. So again, if they're using a VPN, tracking the IP address isn't going to do you any good, because that's the whole point of a VPN, is to obfuscate the IP address.
Yeah, it's saying down at the bottom of page 11, in 43 in the italics,
Right.
that's where
Are
they're
you?
showing the IP address.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Is that on the other thing I sent you?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Let me keep talking. I'm going to pull that one up too.
So that's where they've identified, if you go down on the top of page 12, it shows that Manning had two computers, and the IP address is .22 and .40. And then the one identified up above that made the database access request was 40. So that's how they're pinning it on Manning, is through IP address.
Right. Okay. But yeah, that's what really struck me as I, read through all this again, is that it's all about Manning. And
Right.
that's already been.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, it appears Assange's role is in the when he was solicited by Nathaniel Frank. Oh no, by nobody. There on the line, you can see right after, do you have any experience with this hash cracking? And he says, we have rainbow tables,
Yeah,
right?
but we
So,
don't know that's Assange. Is
correct.
Right. We don't.
You only know Nathaniel Frank.
right. And is
There'd have
there
to,
any way? Is there any way to definitively say one way or another? I feel like we're going over that DNC leak versus hack thing again. But is there any way to say definitively to figure out who that was? Is there any way? Do you think?
you can match the IP address from the server that they're using to communicate. And then if that's Assange's, I guess, IP address, or yeah, I mean, you'd have to have basically access to the server that's hosting the Jabber. Would you agree?
Right. I mean, that would be the only way, but I mean, they would have to obtain that information somehow, as to, they would have to basically tie Assange to that server.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay. Well, wouldn't they have done this by now to find the server where this Jabber chat was held?
I would imagine that if they had that information, that they would have presented that by now.
Yeah,
That would be my guess. If they had that information, they would have presented that by now.
yeah, because I don't see anything from the Assange side. This is all, everything's from the Manning side
Right.
in this document.
Well, right. Okay, so that's let me pull that up.
So you would need their evidence that links Mr. Assange to that Jabber account, or receiving however it was received. It doesn't appear that it was FTP, that's for sure.
Okay, so this what we're showing now is, what's the guy's name? Patrick Eller.
Yeah, it's a good write-up.
Yeah. But you're right. That's what really struck me, is it was just everything was about Manning.
Yeah, everything goes back to Manning.
And the sad thing, this is a different topic, but I mean, the sad thing is for whistleblowers and leakers, there's no, what they call it, public interest defense. So I don't agree with it, but I mean, okay, then Manning broke the law, but I just, the more I read, it's just so shocking what's happened to Assange, because it's
crazy.
all paper thin. They have nothing. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, John. If you, what do you think is there?
Well, nothing in this document. I would inquire, what evidence was used to link him, other than ownership of WikiLeaks, but that doesn't implicate him directly.
No, and it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
There's no hacking. I mean, okay, so we can get into that about the hash and all that stuff.
Right.
Well, it's impossible for him to, with the information he had, it would be impossible. He doesn't have enough information to do anything meaningful with the hash that he was provided.
Okay, so this might be, Brian and I talked about this before. Maybe it's too down in the weeds. Maybe it's irrelevant because it didn't happen and we know it's not him, and it wouldn't have made a difference because Manning already had access and Manning already leaked everything before. But I think it is important to talk about a little bit, because something that kind of struck me, and Brian agreed, is that I almost feel like they're trying to sort of write this confusing IT stuff to sort of, I don't know, just muddy the waters and like make it sound more like convincing that, you know, he's a hacker. And I don't know. That's just my feeling, like, because it's so complicated for your average person. So the way, who wants to tackle the hash thing?
I can. So
Okay.
Eller explains this really well in what page is this? Page 8.
Okay, let me get to it. Sorry.
35.
Hold on. Let me get page 8.
Yep.
Okay, here we go.
Says here, point 35, encryption of the password or the password hash is not mentioned at all in the criminal complaint or indictment, aside from stating that the creation of the hash, this is in quotes, the creation of the hash value is a form of encryption for storing the password, end quote. This is different from the encryption of the hash value with a symmetric key. Therefore, the description of the password as being split between SAM and system files is inaccurate in both the initial and superseding indictment, and means that what Manning sent was insufficient to be able to crack the password in the way that the government have described. That's absolutely accurate here. So,
and where was that?
what Manning had,
oh, here it is,
not sufficient to have cracked the password in the first place.
right?
There was nothing Manning could have done with what Manning turned over to whoever this Nathaniel Frank is. There was nothing Nathaniel Frank could have done with it in the first place.
Okay, and remember this part? This was what kind of really surprised me. And again, I think we're in kind of dangerous times where I feel like, you know, again, I don't trust our intelligence agencies to just tell the truth. I want evidence, and I want to be able to understand the evidence as much as there can be evidence. You know, attribution in IT security is really complicated. But when you see this here, that this guy, I forget his name already, Patrick Eller, he's an IT expert. Basically, he's correcting. He says the U.S. government has made a technical mistake in explaining the situation.
Yeah,
and that
exactly.
It doesn't give me a whole lot of confidence that, you know, the government always gets it right. What do you think about this, John?
Well, they're basically ruling out that the FTP account could be used for the transportation in this document. So if the government is saying that the hash was cracked and FTP was used to move the data, that would be impossible, is what this is saying. So if the data was moved, there would have to be a different method. And in this report is also Manning had 2 workstations, and he was booting one off of a Linux CD, and then mounting the disk, get at data that way. If the data moved, it would have to move in a different manner than FTP.
Okay, I'm sorry. Refresh my memory. What? Explain FTP.
File transfer protocol.
That's right. Okay. Like I said, I'm here to ask the dumb questions.
No.
When it comes to IT security. Well, I mean, I think somebody has to do it. You know,
Yeah, no, it's a method of electronically moving data. Another method would be to put it on a USB stick and walk it.
Okay. Okay. So, is there any other part of this that you read that you, I don't know, stuck out to you? What do you?
There was the other part at the end too that was interesting.
Okay, alleged. Okay, wait. What page am I on? We've got a lot of pages here. Oh, well, here's Okay. There's that
Oh,
stuff. We could explain a hash, or but what? Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
oh no, it was the part at the end where he was describing that Manning already had an interest in this um, in other situations, not hash cracking and such like that. So it could have also been a. They're saying that this was used to move the data, but we can
Mhm.
also say that this might have just been an interest of Manning, and we don't necessarily know that, or we could say that it's impossible for the hash cracking method to be used to move the data with FTP. So there's more. Manning might have just been interested in hash cracking, and that's
Mhm.
not illegal. Moving the data is
Right.
illegal.
Okay. Right. Well, there was. I'm sorry. I'm not sure where it was on here, but oh, yeah, that's the part. No indication Manning was trying to access data anonymously, but yeah, somewhere near the end here, I think it talks about that Manning was a computer. I don't know what her title was in the military, but that a lot of other soldiers came to Manning to ask for help with
Yeah,
certain.
that's this T-SCIF information down on page, starting about page 17. And
Mm-hmm.
this is pretty alarming because what
Okay.
they're describing is an area within proximity to secure data that's really just being used out of protocol. I mean, they're talking about software's being installed. They've got administrative access to install the software. I mean, it sounds very uncontrolled, this T-SCIF area.
Okay. Yeah, that I could not understand what that meant.
It's just looking like a sandbox of sorts, or it's being used in an uncontrolled manner because the soldiers are like it says right there in number 66. Soldiers put unauthorized files and programs on the computers in the T-SCIF.
But weren't the computers actually administered by civilian contractors?
I didn't see that.
I think it said it somewhere in the document that the administrators of the system were actually civilian contractors. Let me see if I can find that. Hang
Yeah,
on.
it talked about that the machines were being used in two shifts. So you have multiple people with access to the same
Right,
computer. So that would negate the IP address tracking.
right.
And also, it indicated that their manner of restoring these laptops was to re-image them. And there was some discussion down here about uh, that they had unauthorized movies, music,
Mm-hmm.
games, programs, everything on these machines,
Yeah.
and they were being loaded from one reimage to the next. So
Hmm.
it's a very uncontrolled environment. You can't make. I don't think you can make a determination of who's sitting on an IP address at any one time in this kind of environment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think they kind of. This guy said that, didn't he? In here. Okay. So so again, we can't even establish that there was ever any communication with Assange either. I just wonder why they didn't try wherever it is that wait, let me stop sharing instead of, and should I go off this page, or was there anything else on this document, I mean, that you wanted to go into?
No, that's good for me. I'm looking up what the actual evidence. Do we have the
Yeah,
actual
I have.
evidence?
Yeah, I have the other. Do you want like the indictment or like the chat logs, or what were you?
I guess it was probably in a court martial, so I don't know if all the information's available.
Oh, you mean for Manning's?
Oh no, no, sorry, I juxtaposed. I meant for Assange. Yeah, I would be interested in the evidence that was presented that links Assange to this, other than possession of the file.
I don't think. I mean, look, again, I'm not an expert. I'm just trying to sort of understand more, and but I don't think there is, other than the chat logs.
I'll look for
Um,
it.
Yeah, I'm going to double check somewhere
Not
else.
based on these documents.
Yeah, hang on. And I'm going to check.
Here, I've got the indictment.
Yeah, I can pull that. Here, let me pull that up too.
It's,
Hang on. Sorry, I've got too many different. Where is it? Brian, do we have anybody with IT knowledge? Definitely jump in, but okay. Slides, okay, here is I think this is or is this the old one? I'm sorry. This is the old one. Wait a minute. Let me get the new one up. Share screen. Okay. I have too many tabs open. Okay. Here it is. Okay, here we go. That's the old one. Here we go. Okay. I don't know. Can you see this very well? I have it pulled up. If you're looking at it too, if you want to tell me the page you're on, I can.
I'm looking at a summary right now.
Oh, okay.
I was
Okay.
looking for a link to the compelling evidence. I'm not seeing it yet. Let me go to the indictment here.
Second.
I'm on justice.gov. Yeah, I've got the indictment here. All right, let's see what they say. Negligent handling of classified information. Here it mentions Assange. Okay. Solicited submission of classified, censored, or other restricted information. So solicitation is what they're charging him on. Indirectly seen in the jabber. Let's see.
Well, if that's him.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was a bad assumption. Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's okay. I just,
No. Yeah. Keep me going. I'm on paragraph 6.
Okay. Paragraph 6. Oops.
So it's basically saying downloaded. It doesn't say how though. And then Manning provided the record. So it doesn't say how the records were pulled from the server, just that they were solicited for and distributed.
Yeah, but the thing is, that jabber, those chat log, that stuff was after Manning already leaked all of this stuff, except for some State Department cables.
Yeah, so here in paragraph 7 is talking about the previous document, how this 7 is not possible. So 7 for Assange is out. And so really the only thing would be if you could link that Jabber account to Assange, it would be solicitation and then reception.
Yeah.
I found it on page 3 of Eller's document here on the 8th point. He says toward the bottom, it says the ownership and administration of the computers was conducted by civilian contractors and not the military unit using them. They were administered by civilian contractors.
Wait, where is that? I'm sorry, I don't think I understood that. What?
On page 3 of Eller's document.
Oh, page 3. I'm sorry. Okay. Page 3. Okay. Says where now?
Page 3 on the 8th point.
Okay. Mr. Morey that his UK legal team had received convincing information that suggested the claims made by the prosecution for the interception of the Manning chat, that must be the Jabber chat, right?
Right.
Were not reliable, and that Manning and others in the unit in which she was working in Iraq made regular and wide use of avoidance. Oh, yeah, okay, we went over that.
Right.
See, my 8th point starts on page 2
of the Eller
of the indictment,
indictment. Okay, whoops, let me get back to that. Okay.
and then finishes on page 3. But
Okay, page 2.
yeah, at the bottom of page 2, that's where my number 8 starts. Is that? Yeah, that's the same as yours.
Mm-hmm.
Let me zoom in. Okay, so where is the part about the civilian contractors?
It's in Eller's document.
Oh,
Yeah, I'll go back here. Hold
let me
on.
go back to that one. Sorry.
Yeah, here it is.
At the bottom
Wait,
of
oops.
point 8, it says the ownership and administration of the computers was conducted by civilian contractors and not the military unit using them.
I see that. Well, that's very interesting.
So what does that mean exactly? Just even less control over?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, because civilian contractors don't fall under the UCMJ, so they don't have the same strict regulations that govern their activities that the soldiers would have.
Yeah, they're going in the indictment.
Let me go back to that. Hold on.
In paragraph 9, they're talking about using the technique by using Linux, booting off a CD, and then
Right.
accessing. But they're only talking about the hash, the portion of the password.
Right, and that's what I meant by that. Just feels like a distraction because it can't be
Very
done.
much like a distraction.
It can't be done. It's not possible. Or is
That didn't facilitate anything anyway.
Mm-hmm. So, one of the biggest questions I always have is how in the world are we charging a non-U.S. citizen that wasn't on U.S. soil with these charges? And there's this lawyer, Bruce Afrin, that talks about that and how, like, if you, like, money went through a bank that's in the U.S. or something, you have to have something to, like, tie you to something in the U.S. So if Assange had actually hacked into something, into U.S. government computers, then I can see, okay, then I guess that would be giving you that jurisdiction. But that didn't happen. And not only did it not happen, but there isn't even any evidence that it was Assange encouraging Manning to try to do this hash or crack this password. And so that, as far as like soliciting documents and information, that is something that, I mean, look at the Ellsberg case. I mean, or no, excuse me, that's a bad way to put that. But I mean, it's normal journalism for a source to solicit information.
Sure. Yeah.
So if you go to the count on page 4, when it starts into count 1, they're basically saying in A of paragraph 15.
Oh, wait, what? I think I'm in the wrong place. Oh, 15.
I'm on the indictment again. I'm trying to figure out exactly.
Right.
So they say that he knowingly accessed a computer without authorization exceeding authorized levels. Basically, that access would be through Manning, I guess, because he didn't.
Yeah.
From what they're saying, he didn't personally do it, but he
Right.
attempted to provide the means or was working with Manning.
But where's the evidence of that?
Right. So that A is kind of very questionable. What's B say?
I'm sorry, I think I'm in the wrong spot.
I move to the next page for item B, intentionally access a computer without authorization exceeding, yeah. And then it lists out all the code. So they're basically saying Assange accessed the computer, and it's kind of a stretch maybe because he accessed it through Manning.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the bounds of it. I don't know the legal implications like that.
Mm-hmm.
Conspiracy, yeah. So they're declaring it to be a conspiracy to facilitate Manning's acquisition and transmission. So they're basically saying Assange facilitated Manning's work.
It just
In 17, it's going to start into the ways and means.
oh, you're talking about page 7. Okay, I'm sorry.
No, item 17 on page 5.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Hold on. No, that's me. I lost
Yeah,
track of
part
where
of the
you were.
conspiracy is using Jabber to collaborate, sure. Part of the conspiracy that Assange and Manning took measures to conceal. Okay, you could say that booting off the Linux is an attempt to conceal what they're doing. Okay,
But that's Manning.
yeah, but they're saying Assange, like on 20, Assange encouraged Manning.
Yeah, but
Yes,
see, like,
so it's
okay,
a conspiracy. They're saying, yeah, part of the conspiracy that Assange encouraged Manning. So yeah, they're leaning on the conspiracy that they're working together to charge Assange.
uh,
I didn't know you could do that, but
yeah.
yeah, okay, and that's it. And then they talk about uh, where it was dropped. Yeah,
Wait.
in paragraph 21, it's
Okay.
talking about that they used a cloud Dropbox for WikiLeaks. But so
Right.
they're not showing where Assange did these things, but they're just saying it's part of a conspiracy. Assange working with Manning. Yeah, they're going further. Uh, Acts in furtherance of the conspiracy, paragraph or sentence 22 and
Mhm.
on.
Okay. After Assange told Manning that there was, but
But he said,
I hate to keep hammering this home, but I mean, reading the indictment,
go to
when they're
25.
saying, hmm?
25 says, Assange indicated that he'd been trying to crack the password, but stating he had no luck so far.
But
So
how
they're
are they
basically
even
putting right in there
saying,
that he tried to help, but he was unable to.
right?
But I guess they're saying it's a conspiracy that they're working together. I guess that's their angle.
That's their angle. But again, I'm going to say it over and over. I mean, how are they writing Assange in this legal doc, in this indictment when they don't have proof that it was him?
Unless there's something else that they haven't presented yet, which I don't know how that's even legal, but that's all it could be at this point, is something that they haven't presented yet that is their smoking gun that ties this Nathaniel Frank to Assange.
Agreed.
That's the only thing I can think of, because going by the indictment and going by all the documents that I've looked at, there's nothing that they have presented that would in any way, shape, or form convince anyone that Nathaniel Frank is Julian Assange.
Yeah,
Well,
it's like Manning was trying to steal a car and he asked Assange to make him a key, and Assange was unable to make the key. And
right,
Manning must have used some other means to move the data then.
right. Except you don't even know if it was really Assange that he asked
Right.
to make the key.
Right, true. That's what they're saying, yeah.
Oh, wow. But see, I think when all of this stuff, when regular people that don't work in this field, hear this stuff, it's just so confusing. And they just go, oh, well, they're saying he hacked. Okay. And they just kind of accepted it face value.
Yeah, like was said, there has to be some other compelling evidence because I'm not seeing
Mm-hmm.
it here.
Right.
The thing is, though, let's just say for the sake of argument, that this exchange between nobody and Nathaniel Frank is, in fact, Manning and Assange. Let's just say that is a fact. So what?
Right. It's not an act.
I mean, really, what do they have here? I mean, the most, you and I talked about this, Kelly. The most they could really hold him for is 5 years for a conspiracy to, right. That's it. That's all they've really got here. And he's already been held for far longer than that. So, right.
I agree.
Even if we granted that what they're saying took place and was in fact Assange and Manning, the most they could hold him for is 5 years anyway.
Right.
Because everything else that took place between Manning and WikiLeaks were simply the same thing that would take place between the New York Times or CNN or any other journalistic entity when pursuing a story of this nature.
Well, I mean, I think you could make the argument that, as they write in the indictment, that WikiLeaks was actively pursuing, send, they had, I guess, what was it? They called it capture the flag, but they had certain things that they wanted, certain kinds of documents that they wanted, right?
So they were a little more aggressive about it than some other journalistic entities. That doesn't change the fact that it still falls into, what a news outlet would do in order to solicit this kind of information. They were just a little more aggressive about it, but I mean, I don't think it falls into the realm of being illegal.
Well, you know what? I'm going to play a clip because I like to play clips.
Okay.
It's my favorite thing to do because I know how to do it. Pulling up these documents is just tricky. No, oh, wait a minute. Where did this go? Oh, there we go. Okay. I think this is really what it comes down to. And I played this on Thursday. So here we go.
Yeah.
I'll just do a little quick introduction for, oh, whoops, let me stop sharing this. For Stephen Kinzer's, just really quick. Do you know who Stephen Kinzer is, John? Okay, here you go. Stephen Kinzer, award-winning journalist, author, and former New York Times foreign correspondent for more than 20 years, has written several books that tell the true stories of U.S. actions abroad throughout history and pull the curtain back on powerful actors in the U.S. Go to StephenKinzer.com and also check out Randy Credico's interviews with him.
Do you surmise that it's the CIA that is the driving force behind the persecution of Assange?
I'm not so sure that it's the key force. I really think that there were a group of American politicians led by Hillary Clinton who were very embarrassed and humiliated by Julian Assange revealing what hypocrites they were and what lawbreakers they were. Her lies were revealed by Julian Assange. So I think she and the whole American political establishment, which Hillary Clinton represents, have a bitterness against Assange. And it really is a classic case where the people who commit the crime are scot-free and respected citizens, and those who reveal the crimes are persecuted. That is the essential perversion of the Assange case. I completely agree with you on its importance. They have been torturing this guy. There's no other word for it. They have tried to destroy him, and they may be very close to doing that. Now they want to try to bring him here and put him in one of the world's most highest security and harshest prisons. I think every day that he's suffering in some prison cell somewhere makes Hillary Clinton and some of the people around her feel good. So that's where I think a lot of this is coming from. There's certainly institutional anger for years for revealing secrets. But I think it's more in the political establishment that you get this intensity. The people that would come down on Biden if he ever tried to make some kind of a deal to free Assange. They're coming from American political, elected and sort of corporate officials like Hillary Clinton, not so much from those anonymous people inside the security apparatus.
So, yeah, I guess that's it. What do you think about that?
I'd agree. He's obviously released embarrassing information and made it public. I could see where retaliatory actions would take place.
Yeah, well, a lot of people are saying, they'll just say, well, you break the whistleblowers, not Assange, but like Manning that leaked it. That this dissent, like anything going against the government, is bad. But there's this guy is it Josh Paul that resigned from the State Department not too long ago over the whole Israel-Gaza stuff. I mean, when people, if they can't speak up when they're not happy when they see something wrong, waste, fraud, and abuse, or on all that, whatever it's called. I mean, what else are they supposed to do? And, there are so many cases where these, people that do see that stuff, they want to report it, and then it gets ignored. Like Kiriakou, like so many.
Yep.
So that's their only recourse is to leak it somewhere. And then why is that considered like what? You're not patriotic? I mean.
Oh, there it is. Section 641.
Okay, hold on.
Title 18. This is the law that prohibits the theft or receipt of stolen government information. So this is probably where he's being charged. This is not on your documents.
Oh, okay. Okay, but he's not a U.S. citizen. So how are we doing that?
Yeah, that's a good point.
It doesn't make any sense either.
I'm going to tell my joke that nobody laughs at. I'm going to tell it again. I always say, what if China said, hand us Rachel Maddow, she broke our laws?
Take her, please.
But, I mean, nobody laughs but you, Brian. But, I asked that at the National Press Club, and Ryan Grimm answered, and he kind of said, yeah, that's pretty scary. I mean, what if there's an American journalist in Iran or whatever? I mean, I could play more clips, but my other favorite one is probably Ben Weisner talking about that, the global precedent that's set. But I mean, I guess we're the world's bully. So, we do it, but nobody else is going to do it back to us. I don't know.
Well, times are changing. Yeah, I'd say this is, from what I've read so far, I don't think they can get them on the hacking and the hash cracking, just the possession. I would think that this would be, that's the only thing obvious that they could be charging him with. And like you said, if he's not a U.S. citizen, I don't know how that works. How a non-U.S. citizen is subject to U.S. law.
You know what? I also got to ask one of his U.S. attorneys that face to face at the National Press Club. When was that? December of 2022, something like that. And I just kept pushing because I don't hear people talk about it that much, because I think everyone is rightfully concerned about U.S. journalists being, journalism being criminalized. But I kept saying, to me, it's the elephant in the room. Like, he's not a U.S. citizen. So I asked his attorney, and I kind of I forget, somebody else started talking, and so I had to keep asking it, like I think 2 or 3 times. And it was really nice and helpful. And he just said, you know what? It's never been tested. which just I thought was the most shocking answer because it's true. So we're going to test it on him after he's been, locked up in the embassy for, I've lost track, 7 years was it in the embassy, and then 5,
Yeah, I think that's about right. Yeah,
something like that.
going on 12 years now.
I get all the details incorrect sometimes, but I think it was 7 years in the embassy and 5. I know
Yeah.
it's 5. I know it's coming up on 5 in
It's coming
April.
up on 5 in Belmarsh.
So I mean, the UK is just holding him. I mean, he's in the all the details, right? Like he's in the supermax prison, and the other thing I played on Thursday was Randy actually was there in the courtroom and took photos, which you're not supposed to do. But it's a good thing he did because it showed how he's in this glass box. And on one of his shows, he was comparing it to, compare it to Eichmann. I mean, he had better treatment.
So surreal. It really is just so Orwellian.
So and he's strip searched. It's crazy. But anyway, I appreciate you going over some of that.
No, it's a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks a lot, John.
Yeah, I know it's definitely your area. So
no, it's interesting to see, but yeah, I agree with you, Brian. They got to have something else.
They got to, because it doesn't make any sense otherwise.
Right.
But do you think they do?
It's all ways and means. They'd never reveal it if they did.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only thing I can think is if they could prove that he really hacked into it, then maybe that sets the jurisdiction.
Even if he did, the most they could charge him with is
the 5 years.
5 years. I mean, it's
Yeah.
this case is so absolutely absurd, and you can tell that he's simply a political prisoner. They're holding him because he upset our political establishment. That's it. That's all it really has to do with.
Yeah, and I mean it's to send a message so nobody else does this.
Right.
But look,
So
I mean,
nobody else tries to use these kinds of journalistic methods. Yeah.
Or nobody leaks. I mean, you heard,
Right.
I'm sure, John, probably about, is it Schulte? I forget his name. First, Joshua Schulte or Schulte.
No, I don't recall.
He's the one that leaked. I forget which. Was he CIA? I don't remember. He leaked the Vault 7 stuff to WikiLeaks.
Yeah.
But and so he's in prison. I don't know for how long. Bad, like lifetime. I don't know. It's not good. But there was an article I read about it, and it was talking about how basically with what kind of came out in that case, and I haven't dug down into it yet, but reputable source said that the Department of Justice is basically criminalizing the use of any security things that that hide things, like use of a VPN, like anything that's evidence of criminality. That's just that's crazy.
Yeah,
Is that
you
where we
become
are?
a person of interest.
Do what?
Yeah, you become a person of interest.
Right, when
just by trying to protect some privacy. I know it's absurd.
Well, I mean, you do that, don't you?
What, protect my privacy? Absolutely.
Well, I mean, online, and I know that I remember you talking about
We all do. We all should. If you're not, then you absolutely should be.
Yeah, but there is a level at which you can't. You can only protect to kind of like low-lying fruit. There is a level. I mean, because there is levels of encryption that you can't use as a U.S. citizen. So I would imagine that all encryption that is allowed is within the realm of
they can get past it.
Yeah, subpoena or decrypting.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, I mean everything's because I wrote a website supersecret.net and I was using a 1024-bit non-exportable encryption, and that's where I got into trouble, was because the level of encryption was greater than what's allowed.
Oh,
to be
okay. I think
used.
I do remember this now. What?
Where can you find that information in terms of what level of encryption is not allowed, and in what setting?
Yeah, I'd like to find out. I mean, I don't know if it was the label of being non-exportable that meant it couldn't be used publicly, or um, I don't really understand. Yeah, there should be some definite, you can only use 52-bit
Right.
encryption or some kind of, AES, you know, standard of some sort. But yeah, I don't know offhand. That'd be interesting to know
Hmm.
and
So you.
test.
So what do you mean? I remember this story. I'm sorry, John. I think I actually have a notebook here where I remember the first time I really talked to you, and I wrote pages of notes about. But I'm sorry, my memory is it's been a while. So you're supersecret.net. So what do you mean you got in trouble for it being too encrypted? What happened again?
Yeah, well, it was a autonomy engine, right? Anything that goes through the server uh, becomes autonomous. You can't tell where it came from. So it was a message board, websites, video,
Uh-huh.
whatever, any protocol. But it was behind encryption,
Uh-huh.
and that encryption was greater than was allowed. So there
Did
basically it
you
would have to
didn't
be.
know at the time, or did
I
you?
thought the machine was on U.S. soil, so I wasn't exporting it. It was explained to me that wherever the screen is, that's where the technology is being exported to. So I had to dumb down the encryption basically to make it legit. So
Oh,
the whole point is that there's a level of encryption that becomes illegal. So you can only be so
okay.
private, right? Private to a point.
Hmm.
Don't want to make it too hard.
Wow. I don't know
Yeah,
how I
yeah.
feel about that.
You should never use electronic means to communicate in anything confidential, anyways. It's just impossible to secure communications electronically,
Right.
in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you would know. So
Yeah.
what was it that I don't remember. I remember something about a bash shell. I
Oh, that was that guy we met online. That was Shell Shock, the bash shell. That was
okay.
one of the most, yeah, Shell Shock and Heartbleed. Those were compromises to machines in the past. And at the time, we were doing the election integrity, and it
Yeah.
was that cat from San Francisco,
Oh, Brent
Turner.
Turner.
Yeah, and he had his buddy up there, and his buddy was the original author of the Bash Shell, and he was the author of that back door that caused
Oh,
shell shock.
Brian, was it Newbie or something?
I forget,
That
man.
one?
And I was just like, and those two were going to do election integrity. I'm thinking, wow, the guy that unleashes the biggest backdoor in computing history is going to secure elections, right?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Well, his little do you remember that trailer? I think we played it on back then on Zoom using my old wonky, I don't know, OBS or something. But he had this movie. What was it? Something the real activist or something like that. It was just so cheesy. And then he had James Woolsey in
That's
it.
right. Oh my God. That ex-director CIA guy. Oh, I forgot all about that guy. That's so funny. Yeah,
Yeah,
those
so
were
it was
some
like,
weird times.
yeah, no kidding. Yeah, it was, huh?
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. So recently, I don't know, over the past year, I started watching or listening to this guy, Jack Brysider, Darknet Diaries.
Hmm.
And
And
then they have one, wait, Brian, what was it? What was the episode? It was like
How
how
the government or how the military hacks your brain or something like that.
oh, great.
Is that the
That's
one you're
all I
talking
need.
about?
I think so. But then he had James Clapper on.
Yes.
So, when you've got these like intelligent spook, I mean, I don't know, just sort of, I don't know. That made me not trust it.
Yeah.
I just don't,
I don't
and I
trust
don't.
anything. Don't trust anything.
Hmm. Right. Well, I remember you saying, don't you have something where you can tell like all the traffic that hits everything on your network? And okay, so John lives out High Sierra Desert, right?
Yeah, no, I'm up in the Sierra. But yeah, well, any
Out in the middle
application.
of nowhere, off the grid, right?
Yeah, completely.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm sustainable. I did the whole sustainability thing.
That's so cool. Yeah.
Oh, it's working. This is a great winter too. I haven't had one low voltage error, so everything's working.
Do you
Awesome.
ever get stir crazy?
Well,
You're
I got
busy.
places to go, yeah.
Yeah.
And I've been, yeah, no, I keep pretty busy.
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
there's little time.
Do you still travel some for work though?
No, they tried to send me to Virginia, but I refused.
Oh,
I hope my boss doesn't see this. He's like, "Oh, you're not busy. Why don't you just go to Virginia?" I'm like, "What?" It's like,
oh, you weren't interested in that?
no, I'm not interested in traveling anymore. I like my spot. And they,
Yeah. It's a pretty cool spot you have. I mean, you built this whole place and
yeah,
like what
we're
all do you have when you say self like sustainable, what
yeah, I'm
about the
completely
water?
solar. I have a generator, but I haven't turned it on in 2 years. We've got a solar well. It's yeah, I mean it's completely sustainable. I use some propane, so I guess I'm kind of tied in with the propane as convenience,
Well, it gets
for my.
really cold there.
Well, man, this house is insulated. I mean, it really worked. I've got a little tiny trickle heater going and it gets too hot. Yeah, no, I'm super pleased. It worked and it was cheaper, it's cheaper to own, it's cleaner living. I think, I've solicit getting out of densely populated urban environments. I find them to be unhealthy.
Mm,
I think we need to spread out a little bit, you know.
mm-hmm.
But
See, I have this problem is I forget things at the store constantly.
yeah, you'll be cured of that very quickly. No, I'm running about 2 months now. I mean, for necessities, I have to go down about every 2 months, but I go down more often, just to have something to do.
Mm-hmm. And
But
it's how far to something?
1 hour,
That's not terrible.
1 hour, like to a store, like a
yeah, to
grocery
get
store?
to the nearest city with a hospital. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So what's the situation with the wait, was it not coyotes? Was it mountain lions?
Oh my gosh. And then I had a bear. It ate nine
Here.
chickens.
It what?
It ate 9 chickens. I had a bear attack. I had the mountain lions that were stalking me. But now, I've been I was given a wolf dog.
Yeah, I see the pictures on Facebook.
Yeah, so that's well, it brought in these coyotes came in, right? I've got a 308, a little lever action 308. It's got 4 shots in it, right? And I'm standing out there, and 2 groups of coyotes moved in, and there was 2 pairs, right? So I'm thinking, oh my God, I've only got enough shots if these guys attack. But they were cool, they just came in, sniffed around, and then moved on. So we didn't have an altercation.
I remember something. Didn't you go out in the dark one time?
Oh my God, the mountain lion. So they released basically they captured 9 mountain lions in Malibu and they released them. And from Malibu's point of view, they took them all the way to the other side of the mountain, right? But
Uh-huh.
from my point of view, they dropped them off in my backyard. So we had these 9 mountain lions that were just like eating everything, right? My friend Alpaca Steve, he lost 3 of his alpacas, and Doug lost 2 of his, and I lost 9 chickens. I was losing 2 chickens a day
Jeez.
when they were going. I had to rehome the last one, and yeah, so I went out one night because I have to start. That time I was still building the house, and I have to start the generator. I didn't have the solar done yet, and so I got to walk down this path, and all I could smell was that wet dog smell because it
Uh-huh.
was like rainy and snowy, and all I could smell was like a wet dog, and I didn't. My dog's inside the trailer. Oh my God.
Oh my.
The next day I found where the cat was sitting. It had a little nest built under this tree, and I thought, oh my God,
You
I'm gonna
walked like
die out
right
here.
by. You walked right by it or something.
Yeah, I was within. Yeah, I was hiding, but I was
Jeez.
too close for comfort. It's crazy.
Ugh. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay,
things have settled down.
but you have neighbors. Like, how close is the closest neighbor?
Uh, a couple miles. Well, yeah, inside 2 miles. But
Okay.
I've been setting up a radio club with my friends up here,
Oh,
showing them
cool.
how to program their radios. So we have radios running now where if anyone calls out for help, other people will hear them.
Oh,
Cool.
So
okay.
it's working good. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. That's important.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
Okay.
going to do a little online tutorial how to program these things because it's pretty clever, to have a secondary method of communication.
Yeah.
Right, right. Well, I know where I'm headed if it goes down.
I got plenty of room.
That's a long way, but no, wait, your house, it's a 2-story house that you
Yeah.
built, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just, 18 by 32, but 2 stories. So, it's comfortable.
And you have water, but like water you get from.
Oh, everything. I mean, it's luxury. This isn't like a cabin. It's a house. It's got
Yeah,
every luxury.
right. But do you collect rainwater? What do you do for
Oh
water?
no, I drilled a
You have a
well.
well. You have a well.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay.
I figured out how water works in California and I've exploited it. I have an unlimited water supply in California for free.
That's pretty good.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
pretty
I'm
good.
not a total city person. I probably told you this. I think I've shown pictures of where I was driving a snowmobile up
Fun.
in Michigan and Canada. But well, my Canadian grandparents lived 2.5 hours north of Toronto.
Oh,
And I was out in the middle of nowhere. Like they tapped the trees, for maple syrup and yeah, I mean I liked it. I just, like I said, I forget stuff at the store too much. That would be I'd be in the car all the time. But
yeah.
I might but I think with the internet and like this, I mean, you don't feel isolated like you would
Right.
have
Right.
other times, right?
Yeah, I use Clubhouse. So
Oh, is that
I
still a
generally,
thing? I
yeah,
haven't
so
been
I've
on
always
it.
got noise in the background.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's good. Where's your wolf dog?
They're out in the pen. I've got a Goody Husky male. She was in heat, so he came over to visit.
Oh.
So we'll see. I might end up with some sled dogs.
Oh, okay. So you're still working like full time in IT though, right? I mean, in this
Yeah,
what
yeah.
you do. Okay.
I'm keeping real busy, and stuff is growing so fast, and AI is just. I mean, it's just going off. It's hard to keep up with these days.
Yeah, well, we when I first contacted you, I wanted to talk, and then I got into this instead. But the stuff I saw about the warning about the Chinese hacking stuff, and we were reading Brian made the comment that it looked like was it the CISA announcement? It was like written by Chat GPT or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wouldn't doubt it.
I don't know, but yeah, maybe we could do that another time if you want. What time is it? 10:30.
Yeah, we've been going.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
we'll
why
look
don't
at
we
the
do it
CISA.
again?
I use the CISA page. The CISA.gov, I think it is.
Yeah.
Anyways, we could look up there and see what the Chinese are up to.
Yeah, but again, like, I'm one of those people that I don't trust what they're telling me because they don't give you enough information and you're just supposed to I mean, I've said this 1,000 times. I just feel like we need IT security journalism to teach regular people at least some of the basics of this stuff because otherwise, I mean, maybe it is Russian hackers, maybe it is Chinese hackers, whatever, but I'm not going to take the government's word for it. I mean, I feel like that's the next weapons of mass destruction, that they're going to just tell us that this happened, right?
Right. Right.
That's why I always look for the compelling evidence.
Mm-hmm.
Just like what we did tonight, right? I
Right,
want to know exactly how they know.
and that's why that's why I messaged you because I knew I was hoping the two of you together could kind of do that. And I mean, I guess we could have gotten more into the hash, but thing and explained that. it's confusing, but
Yeah.
ultimately it doesn't matter in this case because it wasn't done. It's impossible to have done.
It couldn't have been done. Yeah.
So I
Right.
don't know. Should we? We'll wrap it up with a. Who wants to explain a hash the most quick way? That'll be our little lesson for the evening. How do you explain
Well,
like
that one
Schoolhouse Rock kind
article,
of explanation?
I mean, the article that you provided had a really good explanation that
Yeah.
the hash is really only a representation of the data that it's made from. So it doesn't actually contain a password.
Right.
It's a formula, a one-time formula. So
Right.
he explained very good that, if you type in your username and your password and the hashes match, well, then you have the correct password,
Right.
for a
Mhm.
valid user.
Mhm.
So it was interesting. But yeah, I mean, they use hashing, the same techniques in blockchain, to secure one block of transactions to the next. They just
Mhm.
take everything in the block and create the hash, and then that data is always secure, right? Because you could never change any of the data because you couldn't recreate the hash.
Right.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a common way of securing information.
Mm-hmm.
These
But
hashes.
what do you think about the fact that they got that wrong? I mean,
What do you
that
mean?
the guy pointed it out that the government got it wrong.
Ignorance.
Explaining
I
it.
mean, yeah, whoever wrote that up was just ignorant of the way things really work.
Right. Chat GPT.
Maybe.
I mean,
I think ChatGPT would have at least gotten it a little better than that.
I
You know, what was
don't
the
know.
funniest thing about ChatGPT when it first was released? I remember we were hitting it from different angles, different countries, and the funniest one was when we asked it the day and time, and it gave each person a different day and time, and they were all wrong. I thought, isn't that funny? It doesn't even know system time. That
Wow.
was fixed. It was fixed rapidly, but yeah, that was one of
Mm.
the. No,
That's
the more dangerous thing is the natural language interpreter. You have people all over the world now interacting with this AI, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're all doing it in their natural language, in the natural way that they're going to communicate, right? The wealth of knowledge, like with that knowledge, with the natural language interpreter, if I
Mm-hmm.
were to turn on somebody's cell phone's mic and just listen to them, right? An automated process could be doing that. If it was like for targeted marketing, let's
Mm-hmm.
say, I'm constantly looking for the fork, right, in my drawer. If it's listening and it interprets that, of what I'm asking for and what I'm doing, it could easily be, targeted marketing, providing me the solution.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think almost everyone I know of now has had an experience where like you're talking about something and then all of a sudden there's a Facebook ad or something about it. And
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
that's terrifying. But we're not allowed to like, privacy is now evidence of criminality.
that you want privacy is evidence that you're doing something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you want to be private if you're not doing anything wrong? What a weird logic that is, right?
Yeah. Well, do you remember that was that the opposite of that was in the Snowden movie? His girlfriend says, oh, "I don't care. Like, I'm not doing anything wrong, so it doesn't matter. Like, I don't." Yeah.
Yeah, she's been programmed.
Well, I think she's not. I'm sure she doesn't feel that way now. But anyway, yeah. Well, okay. Well, I won't keep you
Cool.
longer. But thank you. This was really cool. It was good to see you.
Yeah,
It's been
good
a
seeing
long
you, John.
time, and
Thanks a
I
lot.
Great seeing
really
you too.
appreciate. I just love the way you break everything down. I think you two together, that was a good thing. Maybe we'll do this with the Chinese hacking story or something.
Yeah. Yeah, there's lots
Apparently,
of stories. You
yeah.
should get regular with your show. Let's do more.
Yeah, I am. I think I just like I said, I just sort of accidentally started doing it again. I don't, if I waited till I was ready to do it, it was never going to happen. And I just had this idea about the candidates for Assange because I just couldn't stand it anymore. I was like, what else can I do? What can I? And I miss talking to the candidates. I really do. I love doing that work. I think it's fun, like to just, and at first I was just discouraged because it didn't seem like we had a great group of candidates like after Bernie, you know, but they're out there. It's just different. It's a different parties and very few small D Democrats. But so I started doing that, and then now, you know, I mean, I like 9:30 or whatever on Saturday. So the candidates for Assange is going to start being Thursdays at 9, and then maybe we'll just do like, you know, kind of open forum. But I do really want to talk about IT security issues. I really find it fascinating, and even though I don't understand it all, I'm getting better at it. So I think that'd be cool. And then we can also talk about, you know, you're actually living off the land. That
Pretty
was
close.
hmm?
Pretty close.
Yeah, well, that was the thing in the story, the Chinese hacking story. They kept using that term over and over again.
I think someone just got one of those phrases of the day calendars, and that's what came up.
Yeah, I think they're alluding to that they're moving around a lot. They're
well,
not.
the living off the land in like hacking that. Wait, what does that mean again, Brian? Or you? What it means, like using tools that aren't, or no, getting into some system without using the set tools. Am I right? No.
Using basically whatever you can find. In other words, you're using. What's the simplest way of putting that? So you're accessing the system, and you're just using whatever is available within that environment to continue to move laterally, essentially.
Okay. Well, anyway, that's what the buzzword is about the whole
Right.
Chinese hacking thing.
You see it several times within that document, is living off the land.
Yeah, I think I sent it to you in message. And
Yeah, I
yeah.
saw that. I'll read into it. Sounds
Okay,
interesting.
well, we could do that next weekend if you want.
It'd be fun.
Is this a good time?
Oh yeah, this is
Okay.
great.
Okay, cool. Let's do it next weekend.
Fun. It was great
Okay.
seeing you both.
Yeah, okay, you too. Bye.
Cheers.
Hey, Brian, did anybody show up at Mitch message? But I think he lost his internet.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to be regular with it. So,
Yeah.
okay. See ya.
All right. Good night.
Y'all.
Bye.